Hello, everybody. I'm Ranger Diver Pro Staffer Steve Graff, along with V&M General Manager Kevin Jean, and you're watching Tackle Talk Live, a show dedicated to making you a better angler. We're live right here from the banks of Sibley Lake in Natchitoches, Louisiana, and we've got a really good show lined up for you today. We've got Bob Seeley, the one and only Bob Seeley. He's going to come on and talk about the Big Bass Splash Series coming up at Toledo Bend, give you some details about that. Maybe little format changes in how they handle weigh-ins. We'll talk about that as well. So those of you that love to fish the Seeley circuit, stay tuned because we're going to have all the details about that coming up as well. And Kevin, you got a special guest lined up for us as well.
Yeah, Mr. Caleb Sumrall, a Bassmaster Elite Series pro, who is also Toledo Bend guide, Sam Rayburn guide. He's going to give us some a fishing report, number one, on Toledo Bend, and also some tips, techniques on kind of what baits, what scenarios, different things that he thinks will win some money in the Seeley's Big Bass Splash, which we know there's a lot of money to be won out there.
Yeah, there is. And also, we're going to talk about the last week's Super Tournament. Well, Kevin and I will give our own little wrap-up of that as well. Jacob Wheeler, of course, winning that event. We'll talk about that. Also, we've got some tips for you today. Those of you that are going to be fishing Seeley, we've got some tips for you today, some baits that you might want to have tied on and some techniques that might help you catch that. You know, again, in this particular tournament, it may only take a 3 or 4 pounder to get a good check. So
no, absolutely.
These baits will help you do that, and we're going to introduce you those in just a little bit. So, but right now, Kevin, you're going to tell us about our sponsor.
Yes, sir. Raymond Kidd and his staff take great pride in keeping your boat and motor performing at its best. A certified Yamaha dealer and home of the best motor on the market today, the Yamaha Show. The boat shop also carries one of the best aluminum boats around, the Sea Ark. So, to visit these guys over at the boat shop, stop by 2410 Sanford Avenue in Shreveport and let the boat shop take care of all your boating needs. Or you can also give them a call at 318-402-0399 or go to shreveportboatshop.com.
And once again, I'm Ranger Diver Pro Staffer Steve Graff, along with Kevin Jean, V&M General Manager. And on the phone, we have the legend, the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame legend, Bob Seeley is on the phone. Bob, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. How about y'all?
We're doing great. We're doing great. We're talking to you. We're talking to you, so we're doing good.
Oh, man, let me tell you, we just got so much going on right now. Thank goodness I'm back to work.
Well, and speaking of going back to work, Bob, you know, the pandemic, Bob, how has that affected the Seeley series of circuits, tournament trail that you've got going? How has that affected you so far this year?
Well, you know, we had to postpone the first 3 events. My Alabama event generally is in the latter part of March. We had to postpone that to June. My Rayburn event in April, we moved it to October. And then the Toledo Bend tournament was actually always in May, so now we've had to move it to July, which happens to be next week. So we've had a lot of guidelines, stipulations, some of them that we created on our own to make it safe for our anglers. But then at the same time, the governors and the tourism departments, you know, they set up certain things as well. So we all met together and we all came to an agreement. So we had our Alabama tournament about a month ago. We normally draw around 1,400. We ended up with just a little over 1,000, and we were affected because of the out of state.
Right.
But you know, and it was just but the guidelines that we established and how we ran it worked perfect. We didn't have any issues. Unfortunately, we didn't have any spectator crowds because we couldn't have. We didn't do a show on Sunday afternoon like we normally did. We did a live stream deal. They didn't have to be present to win. And, you know, we paid like 15 places every hour. Well, we only kept the top 5 each hour, 6th through 15th. We did random boat checks and let them go back.
Oh, okay.
So, and it really worked out well. We had a lot, you know, social distances, things of this nature. So.
Well, I think you got some good PR from the local TV station there that had done a report. Tell us a little bit about that as well. I mean, that's good. It's a good image for tournament bass fishing. It made tournament bass fishing look good.
Yeah, we, you know, up in Tennessee, which is only Chattanooga, just about an hour away from Lake Earnstville, they had a tournament there at Chester Cross Park there, and they told them about certain guidelines, and they didn't follow through. Well, the governor came in Tennessee, and they shut Chester Park down for the rest of the year and said no events and stuff, no tournaments. And some of the bigger, like B.A.S.S and FLW that had some events scheduled there, it got canceled. So we knew that if we didn't do it right, that it wouldn't just affect us, but it could affect the tourism and chamber and economic impact around Guntersville if we didn't do it right. And so that's the reason why that we went above and beyond, some of the protocols that they wanted, and we just added a few more things, and it made it simpler, made it safer, had social distances, didn't have large crowds, but we paid out every penny that we guaranteed, and it all came together. So we're going to do the same thing at Toledo Bend.
Yeah.
Now tomorrow from 12 noon to 1, we are going to Lake Charles, and we'll be at Lake Charles Tackle. We're going to do an off-site registration there. And then Wednesday, we're going to go to Rambo Outdoors on the East Texas Freeway, just outside of Beaumont there, and do registration there for the Toledo Bend event. But there's people going online and pre-registering and all. And that means, Steve, they won't have to come on the 9th of July at Cypress Bend Park.
Right.
We have a registration there the day before the tournament starts from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. But the pre-reg people won't have to come and pick up their packets. When the tournament starts on Friday and they come to weigh in, we'll have a list of all the pre-reg. It'll state they're entered in the tournament. They'll state if they bought the T-shirt. They'll state if they're on a bonus card deal. We'll have all the information, and we will be able to give them their packet at the time that they weigh in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Then Friday afternoon from 2 to 4 o'clock, any pre-reg people that want to come up at that point in time, after the first day of the tournament is over, they'll be able to do that. We're going to do the same thing on Saturday from 2 to 4 as well. So, and then Friday, we have Friday morning at 5 a.m., the day of the tournament. We have registration, but it will go till 4 o'clock. People that just want to fish 2 days instead of one, they'll be able to come there. But we'll have the social distances marked off and stuff, and we'll take care of it. So we're doing a lot of stuff. We're guaranteeing over $500,000.
Yeah.
To the Bend. 15 places every hour. The top bass each hour is $1,500. Goes all the way down to $250, and the 15th place, the first person to weigh a 3, a 4, or a 5 exactly each day, that's $5,000. So, like I said, over $500,000. And since you got the head guy there with B&M, he's probably got a pretty good bait right now that might help some of these ledge fishermen catch some pretty good fish.
We're actually going to cover that today on the show, Bob. You're right. He's got a series of worms out, 2 or 3 of them.
You know that wild thing will catch them now, Mr. Bob.
Do what now?
You know that wild thing will catch them now.
Well, I've heard little tidbits here and there. I haven't got a package of them to use yet.
Okay.
That's what he's hitting around at. I knew he was going somewhere.
I'm sure we can find a package or two, Mr. Bob, to get it to you for being on the show there today. Hey,
well, that's awful nice. Let me tell you something. I got to tell you something. I had a good friend of mine that's a doctor in Alabama that comes to all of our events and fishes all of them. Matter of fact, he'll be at Toledo Bend. And when this COVID-19 started, he called me just to see health-wise how I was doing. And I told him, I said, well, I'm only fighting my wife and daughter right now because they want me to stay in the house and look at 4 walls. And I said, me, that ain't happening. So I got in my truck and looked at 4 doors. And my wife said, well, what if people come up to you and want to talk to you? I said, I'll roll the window up and tell them to speak louder. So anyway, this doctor, Bobby Jones, that's his name, he said, Bob, I'm going to give you a little piece of medical advice that I can assure you won't get COVID-19. And I said, well, I'm wide open. He said, get your rear end in your boat and get on the lake.
There you go.
Yep.
And,
I promise you, there's
for
plenty of
about
people
9
doing
days
that.
straight,
Yeah.
For 9 days straight, I was on the lake every day.
Yeah.
Social distancing, didn't have any problems, good fresh air, even caught some pretty good fish.
Yeah.
Well,
Then all of a sudden, my wife and them got back at me and they sold my boat.
Oh, man. Well, that's wrong.
That's just cold-hearted.
Yeah.
well, I will say that this. I hate that all this has happened, but man, the fishing industry and the tournaments has not been able to go on. But the amount of people that have been fishing over the last 2 months is just unreal. Because that's all we can do.
You would think that we were having a big bass tournament every day here later.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
That's exactly right.
And, Toledo Bend the same way. So, with all that being said, it's July 10th, 11th, and 12th. That's the 34th annual Big Bass Splash, Lake Toledo Bend at Cypress Pit Park with over $500,000. And it's not too late to go online and get registered for Sealy Outdoors, SEALY, outdoors.com, or they can call us toll-free at 888-698-2591. That's 888-698-2591. Steve, thank you so much. I appreciate being on the show. B&M,
Yes, sir.
keep on keeping on because you got some great products.
I appreciate it.
Thank you, Bob. Appreciate you, bud.
You betcha, buddy.
Bob Seeley.
Mr.
The one and
Bob
only.
Seeley, the one and only. And one thing we didn't get to him with on that I was going to kind of ask him out there, but Bob's a busy man, is they have the Jackpot Summer Series going on at Sam Rayburn for every Thursday night. It's a big fish tournament every Thursday night from 5. Not every. I think it's every other.
The next ones are July 2nd, this coming Thursday, and July 23rd.
From 5 to 8.
5 to 8.
First place is $1,500. It's $3,000 guaranteed. First place is $1,500. Second place is $900, and third place is $600.
Yeah,
for a 3-hour tournament.
Yeah.
So
and let's see. I'm trying to see where they're going. Oh, they're going to Humphrey Family Pavilion. So Humphrey Pavilion right there. South end of the lake. So if you're interested in that, make sure you check that out. And again, this coming Thursday, July 2nd, will be the third one, and then there's only one more left at the end of July 23rd. That will wrap up that whole series. So, but again, and if you're serious about going to the Bob Seeley and you're worried or nervous about going to a Seeley event, especially the Toledo Bend, take caution, because Bob will take caution for you as well. He's going to make sure that you're safe, that the social distancing practices are enforced, and they had 0 problems at the Gunnersville tournament. So again, you got to trust Bob. He's going to do the right thing. He's going to do it the right way. And he's got a great staff of people that work with Bob to put on these events. You could not ask for a better tournament director or a better series to go fish than the Seeley. And it's great for the whole family. So, but again, be conscious when you go to Cypress Bend Park, which is where it's out of on Toledo Bend, July 10th, 11th as well. Be conscious of being around big groups of people. Try to keep your social distancing. You take responsibility for that as well. So.
But, Steve, I've got a good friend of mine, Jimmy Mitchell, who we're both friends with, that fished the Gunnersville event, the Seal Outdoors Gunnersville event. And he said, Kevin, it was flawless. He said, I was never uncomfortable the way they ran the weigh-in. You don't have to ever show up unless you just want to weigh a fish.
Yeah.
So they've been doing this long enough. They've got it all figured out. They know how to run it through all of this. But now on the phone with us, B.A.S.S. Elite Series Pro and Toledo Bend guide, Mr. Caleb Sumrall. Caleb, you with us?
Are we live?
We're live.
We are live, dude. So be careful what you say, Caleb.
You are a South Louisiana boy, so we are live. So make sure I want to make sure you realize that.
All right.
No, I used to play football with some South Louisiana guys. One named Bobby Hebert, another named Coach Ogeron. Coach O and I played together here along with Hebert. So I remember talking to those guys for the first time. I thought they were speaking a different language than English. And I was like, how does people in the huddle understand what Hebert's even saying when he calls the play?
We kind of got this thing, the faster we talk, the more we understand each other.
Exactly. And I've always wondered, Greg Hackney has never really, he don't sound like a Cajun to me. And I know he's from Arkansas, I think, originally.
He's not a Southern.
But he's still.
I find that, you kind of hang out with the people that got that twang to them. That you kind of acquire the twang after so long.
Yeah, you're not as bad as Cliff Crochet, though, so.
No, you can't deny that one.
No, not at all.
Not at all.
Well, Caleb, we appreciate you being on, man, and we're kind of covering the, getting everybody ready for the Sealy Big Bass Splash coming up on Toledo, July 10th through the 12th. Kind of want to get your opinion on. Well, first of all, I want to get a fishing report from you. Kind of update everybody. I know you've been guiding on the lake. Kind of update everybody on kind of some techniques and things that have been working or that have been working around the lake.
Yep. Yeah, it's summertime. The lake's, I think it's 2 foot below pool right now. I believe it's at 170. So, the fish are going to be offshore. There's a lot of fish offshore. That does not mean that they're all offshore. There will be some shallow fish that you can go catch. But, that whole 25 to 18 foot range is where, like on Main Lake Points, creek bends, areas like that, that's where you're going to find some fish setting up to feed. Predominantly, I find that they're going to be biting along, either early morning or close to the evenings right now with the heat of the day. Middle of the day, you can find some decent bass on brush. In that lull of the area, that lull of the day, that's what I would normally target. And that's pretty much pretty much as simple as I would attack it. Like I said, you can't catch some fish shallow on top water, buzzbaits, frogs, and stuff like that. If there's any vegetation left, you can get some fish on frogs and around a little bit of the grass and pads that they have.
Now, Caleb, have you seen the deer? I know at Sam Raven, I talked to a couple of guys that fished this weekend, the bass champs over there, and they were a little disappointed in the fact that it seems like the deep summer pattern just they hadn't just set up on them permanently yet. It's like the bait fish don't know if they're going shallow, they're going deep. Is it really set up yet? Is the water temperature right yet?
Man, I think it's right. They should be there. There's a lot of things. The lake, I think the lake is changing. The lake's going through a cycle. There's still big ones in it. There's still plenty of fish in it. Just from the last 3 years that I've been guiding, it's been different every single year. You have spots that produce fish constantly. They have their good times. Sometimes they're there, sometimes they're not. Those fish go places, We had a kid win a tournament earlier this year, chasing suspending fish over 60 foot of water. He won a tournament like nobody's ever won a tournament on the lake.
Yeah.
And that was impressive. So
that's Cody Huff.
It was a learning experience for me as well, because we actually covered him. I ran the camera boat, and he was chasing fish that were very, I want to say a community hole, but he was around one of the very much so popular areas on the lake, and the fish are still there. They're just chasing bait more often.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And it's nothing for those fish to chase and suspend under bait out in the middle of that lake on the timber, and that kind of makes them a little bit uncatchable.
Yeah. Well, Caleb, you tell me your opinion here, but my opinion of the last 2 to 3 years for Toledo Bend is the fish have no cover. There's a few brush piles, but the fish mainly are relating and feeding on bait. There's no grass. They're not running up shallow. The fish are living off of bait, which move constantly in Toledo Bend. And that's why Toledo Bend so much different than Rayburn, that Rayburn, you pull up, you fish structure, you fish a brush pile, you fish a stump. Toledo Bend, as you know, we all get out there, we idle around. We're not looking for structure or anything. We're looking for the fish. We turn around, throw in there, and catch them. You might catch 25 pounds off a spot one day, a group that's grouped up. You might not catch another fish on that spot for a week.
Gone. They're gone the next day. In fact, I can pretty much bank on it. You won't catch 20. You won't catch, Yeah, you're right.
They're just chasing
they're
bait.
So bait related.
So as a guide, that's got to make your job even tougher.
It very much so is. The trips that we ran this year, we had to do a lot of running, a lot of idling, and we had just did a lot of looking, and there were a lot of days where I learned new things. And like I said, that's just part of it. A lot of the electronics classes we did, We idled a lot of new parts of the lake, and we found new schools, and we found new places that they set up, that places that I've idled every year. I've never seen them. And, like I said, the fish, there's a lot of people in the lake, a lot of pressure. But the lake's big. The lake can take it.
Yeah.
The fish are just going to move around.
Yeah.
Caleb, I want to take you in a different direction. Nighttime fishing on Toledo Bend. I know Kevin has told me in the past, there had been a couple of years ago, 3 years ago, they had some big tournaments out of Big Bass Marina. I mean, it was taking 20-something pounds every night to win one of those.
Well, this past weekend, Steve, there was a small one. I think they had 15, 20 boats.
Yeah.
22 pounds. Cole Moore won it with 22 pounds.
Yeah.
20 pounds was second and 20 pounds was third.
So my question, Caleb, for night fishing, are you looking for those humps and ridges that those bass will come up on at night? What are you looking for night fishing on Toledo Bend?
Yeah, anything really related to a creek channel or a main river channel, it's or docks with a light on it.
Yeah.
You can never pass up on one of them.
Yeah.
And you just throw a big old worm out there, man. Let her soak.
Yeah.
Caleb, so, and Steve, before he was a B.A.S.S. Elite Pro, I think. Caleb, do you still hold the Sealy record for the many checks ever cashed in a Sealy tournament?
I don't know if it was a record.
I thought it was a record at the time. How many, what year was that you cashed all those checks?
That was the anniversary year where they had the $6,000 first bonus hour or something like that.
Oh, wow.
How many checks did you get that year?
Let's see. Me and my wife, we won an hour the first day. We won an hour. Me and the wife, we won $8,600. We won 1 hour. The second day, we won the 400 even.
Right.
And then the second day, or the third day, I weighed in like a 7-pounder. Yeah. But I think it was the year before that. I cashed like 7 checks or something like that.
Good gosh.
Yeah.
Huh.
I weighed in
like 7 6-pounders in 3 days.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that year, and you were catching them that year for sure. So the tournament's always in May. Now we're transitioning. He's going to have it July 10th through the 12th. What would you say gets a check? What is the bottom weight?
What would be your strategy?
I would be looking. I would be looking at how to get a big bite. If I was going to be entering this derby,
does 3 pounds get a check?
I'd be trying to win $100,000. Or is he still doing $100,000?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What
okay.
does a 3-pounder get a check every hour?
I think a 3 and some change would get a check.
Especially now that it's in July instead of May.
Yes.
Yeah. A 3 1/4 would not get you a check. Matter of fact, last year, the second hour of the tournament, I fished day one. I fished one day of the tournament last year. I had a 5.12 and got like 9th. The second hour.
And that was in May.
That was in May.
Yeah.
Now you bring that in July, I'm with Caleb. I'm gonna say 3 1/4 gets you 9th, 10th place several hours.
5-pounder probably put you in top 5 for the hour.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
If not win.
That
midday low, I think you'll win an hour with 5.12.
Some heavy 5.5 pounders will win several hours all 3 days.
Yeah.
That's right.
No doubt about that. So, well, Caleb, real quick. So Elite Series is kicking back off. So we're going to everything's still on for Lake Cayuga.
In New York, we hope so, man. Everything's iffy in the state of New York. They have that 14-day quarantine if you cross from high states with high COVID rates. I don't know how they're going to monitor that, but they're having some talk. B.A.S.S is having some talks with New York right now to kind of see what we can have done.
Caleb,
main distance.
Are you concerned about the rest of the year with the outbreaks starting to come back again? Are as anglers, as a group, is everybody like, oh man, they're going to shut us down again?
Yeah, we're concerned about New York. I think the rest of the year we pretty much got on lockdown where we would go to Chickamauga, Santee Cooper, and Fork. I think those will kind of hold steady. But I think this 3-tournament stint in New York is going to get us. It's got us a little worried right now.
Yeah.
I mean, we hit the road in 2 weeks.
I was fixing to say you should be leaving here pretty soon, right?
Yeah. Very soon.
And don't even know for sure. is going to happen or what. So for everybody that don't understand what we're talking about, New York has mandated that anybody from outside, they have selected the states, I think, right, Caleb? That anybody
the
from
highest COVID rates.
the highest
Just
COVID
like
rates, which Texas, Alabama is in those ranks.
Yeah.
If they come into New York, they have a 14-day quarantine. Well, that's Texas and Alabama. That's half the field from the B.A.S.S.
Right.
So the B.A.S.S. is trying to figure out how they're going to handle that with all the anglers coming into New York. And I know what Caleb said. They're working on trying to get things fixed so they can have their next event up there at Lake Cayuga, which, wow, I hope y'all get to, because that will be a whack fest. There's no doubt about it.
Oh, it's going to be silly, man. I mean, and then not only that, we go to Champlain and St. Lawrence back at the weeks after that. So
Yeah.
you're looking at 3 weeks of nonstop fish catching. I think all three of them are going to just be just crazy.
No, they definitely will be. All right, well, Caleb, to finish up, for all the guys listening coming to the Sealy's, give me 3 baits. 3 baits that you would have in your boat coming to Toledo Bend.
Okay. Big worm, and I mean big worm, like 10.5.
Yeah.
I'm not obligated to say it, but I will say it. I throw a B&M Wild Thing worm a lot. I throw a missile-based tomahawk a lot. Big worm, plum-colored, the red-colored worms. The shallower you are, the lighter the weight you want to kind of get away with, but you got to have a big worm on. I don't know how many years in a row or how many years it's been that this tournament's been won on soft plastics, but it's been a lot.
A lot.
So, a lot. And, the second, it's got to be a big plug, a big crankbait. I'm going to be throwing like a Spro, little John DD 90 to 20, the one that gets down to 22, 25 foot of water. I'm going to opt to throw that earlier in the morning on some of those deeper points and stuff like that. Or if I just run across the school in the middle of the day. And you can't go wrong with a 1/2 ounce, 3/4 ounce football jig.
Yeah.
You guys make a good one too. The B&M football jig, Pacemaker football jig is a good jig.
Steve, this is the first time in my life I've ever heard Caleb Sumrall give baits out, and you did not hear a frog mentioned.
Oh, really? He's a frog man?
He is a frog man. I kept waiting for it to come. So do you want to give me a 4th one?
I'll give you a 4th one. I will have a frog on. If you come across some pads, a little bit of vegetation, there ain't no reason why you can't catch a big one on the frog right now.
There you go. Now, I've heard the ribbit bite has been really good.
The what bite?
The ribbit
bite?
The ribbit, yeah.
That must mean the pepper grass is good. I haven't come across any pepper grass here lately. But
A guy I fished with, he fished as my co-angler a couple of weeks ago at Rayburn. He has a camp on Toledo, and he said they have been whacking them good on the ribbit.
I have heard from another source, actually, that the frog bite was starting up as well. So that bite is starting to take off. That'll give, and the good thing about that, though, if there's a shallow water bite during the Sealy's, that'll spread some guys out a little bit more.
Yeah, no doubt.
So,
absolutely.
No doubt.
Well, Caleb, man, we appreciate you coming on with us today. Real quick, anybody can get a hold of Caleb for his guide service. Caleb, give us, is your Facebook page? You want them to call you? How can they get a hold of you for a guide trip?
Caleb Sumrall Fishing, or you can just shoot me a text. I take calls all the time, 337-380-2887.
There you go.
Do electronic trips and go fishing. Have a good time.
Thank you, Caleb. Appreciate you, man. Good luck the rest of the year.
Thank you, guys. Y'all have a good one.
All right, man. Caleb Sumrall, Elite Series Pro, Toledo Bend Guide. Thank you for taking time out of his busy day to be with us and give us some good information about what you probably want to need if you're going to the Sealy event, or if you're just going to Toledo Bend going fishing.
Right.
Those were good baits he gave you, and we're also going to give you some advice towards the end of the show here. Some stuff that Kevin has got me throwing. I know he throws a lot, so we'll introduce you to those as well. But first, Jacob Wheeler. The first super tournament, Jacob Wheeler just continued to work his way up the leaderboard every single day. And
the absolute hottest fisherman on the planet right now.
He's got to be. I mean, I don't know who else you'd put in that category. I say he worked his way up leaderboard. Day 1, he weighed 24.9. Day 2, he had 22.1. Day 3, he had 25.12. And day 4, 21.6 for a total of 93.12. Absolutely blew the field away by 12 pounds. And over Cole Floyd, who is one of the young collegiate anglers coming up.
Yes.
Kevin, boy, I tell you what, Marty Stone and them really talked about him a lot.
Well, I've met Cole at some other events. I've actually talked to him a couple times. People don't realize he got second in this tournament. He got second 2 years ago when Jason Lambert had over 100 pounds in 4 days on Kentucky Lake.
Yeah.
Cole Floyd finished second in that event at like 21 years old.
Wow.
This kid is going to be the real deal, but there is no doubt the hottest rod in the game right now is Jacob Wheeler. And, you know, something funny about that event, Steve. So in practice, Jacob wanted to kind of remain not seen. He didn't want competitors to see what he's doing from day one. So he took his wrap off his boat for this event.
Oh, I didn't hear about this.
Yes, he took his wrap off the boat. It was, it's his normal boat. He fished it, so he's going to have to put his wrap back on. But he took his wrap off this boat because he didn't want to be seen in practice, kind of what he was doing, what he was looking for, because this is his home lake. He lives at Lake Chickamauga.
And folks, let me tell you, it ain't like changing a pair of socks out to put on a wrap or take a wrap off.
No.
It is. This man right here will tell you it's a job.
I take one off every year, and it takes me about a week.
Yeah, exactly. So Jacob must have really been on something that he didn't want nobody knowing where he was at.
Well, I think it was more of what he was looking for and what part of the lakes he was looking for it at.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying the other guys were following him around, but if you know a home guy on his home body of water is looking at some different structures and so on and so forth, you're going to start looking for those things.
Yeah.
You know.
That's true. Well, Cole Floyd, like we said, came in second. Jason Reyes, he had a really good tournament. He's out of Huffman, which is, I think, right outside of Dallas, if I'm not mistaken. Jason finished third overall in this event. Cody Meyer finished fourth. Alex Davis from Albertville, Alabama, was fifth. Miles Berghoff, I watched, they had this camera on Miles quite a bit. I was impressed with Miles, just his demeanor, some of the conversations I had with him. He finished sixth. John Cox, I love John Cox. One of my favorite anglers on tour right now is John Cox from DeBerry, Florida. He finished seventh. Joshua Weaver was eighth from Macon, Georgia. David Williams was ninth from Maiden, North Carolina. And Alton Jones Sr. was finished out the top 10. And congratulations to all those guys. I'm trying to see if anybody, Spencer Sheffield from Hot Springs was 12th. Trying to see if anybody from our region. Lindell Martin Jr., a good friend of mine, fished with Lindell before.
Lindell had a 9-pounder on day one.
Oh, did he? Well, congratulations to Lindell Martin. But a great finish for Lindell. He had 16. He finished 16th place. Mark Daniels Jr., I like Mark. He's one of the Bill Lewis sponsored out of Alexandria, sponsored guys. Mark Daniels Jr. finished 15th. So, again, congratulations to all these guys. Y'all did a great job. And overall, Kevin, this first super tournament, did you hear any feedback? You know, I heard some from some other anglers that loved it, and maybe some that were like, you know.
I think the biggest thing is a lot of boats. It's a lot of pros. There's a lot of people on the water. Especially Chickamauga fish is very small.
Yeah.
You know, so I think they like the opportunity to fish for that kind of money, but man, that's a lot of boats fishing.
I think the guys that benefited the most, in my opinion, were the FLW guys. They showed they could compete with a lot of these guys that are coming off MLF.
Yes, I agree with that. But the one thing that sucks is if they wouldn't have came over, Cole Floyd wins $100,000.
Oh, there's no doubt.
You know, so that you got to kind of look at it like that too. So,
but as far as top 10, top 20, these FLW guys showed, hey, we're good. You know, we can compete.
I agree.
Congratulations to all those guys who competed in that event. Let's see here. Next thing, what do we got?
Well,
here?
the other big tournament for the weekend, local big tournament, was the Texas Shootout over on Sam Rayburn.
Yep.
Good friend of ours and been on the show. Been on the show a couple weeks ago. Chris Wilson, him and partner Brian Lower. They had a total weight of 29 pounds and 29.86 pounds to win the Texas Shootout and win $50,000.
Yes, that's quite a payday.
So first place was 29.86. Second place was 21.79.
Yeah.
They by 8 pounds.
Exactly.
They won this tournament.
Exactly.
One of the biggest tournaments of the year in the state of Texas. They won by 8 pounds.
And a 952 was their big fish.
And they had a heavy 8, like an 8.5.
Yeah, that goes a long way.
They had 17 pounds between two. Wow. You know. So that helps out. But Chris Wilson, Brian, congratulations. I talked to Brian this morning, sent him a congratulatory text. Second place, Bubba Frazier and Tommy Hill, two just local hammers on Sam Rayburn with 21.79, won them $10,000.
Yep.
And they were the highest finishing skeeter for the tournament. Third place, Jason Moorhead, Ty Moorhead with 21.06. And then we rounding out the top 10 here, just kind of looking at some familiar names. Sixth place, Brian Branham, Todd Driscoll. Seventh place, Jonathan Simon, Roger Bacon. Zach Clark and Brett Clark down at number 11th place. But let's see. So to get a check, it took 30th place was 16.41 pounds, got the last $1,000 check.
Yeah. And
big fish for the tournament was James Williams and Randy Dearman.
Yeah.
They had a 9.75. Now, Steve, I haven't heard about this yet, but I don't know if this is a typo or what happened here, but they had a big fish of 9.75. It says they weighed in 2 and had a total weight of 18.20. So
that means they had another at least 8 3/4.
Yeah. They had 2 9-pounders.
2 toads. Just couldn't get nothing to go with them.
And had 2 fish and got 16th place.
Wow.
So,
wow.
Yeah, that was they were on some big ones for sure. They just need a couple more to go with them.
Yeah, and again, according to a couple of guys that I know that fish well, I actually talked to Brett Hortman, who fished with Derek Monday, who Derek had 3 fish last week that weighed 23 pounds, and in an outdoor outlaw Father's Day deal. They said they were having trouble finding bait fish.
Yeah.
Just finding the bait fish grouped up where the fish were at. He said, man, we just could not ever really get on them good. And again, those summer patterns and those brush top patterns, boy, you can live and die with them. Some days all of a sudden they're set up right, and then the next day you go back and they're not even there.
Catch all Kentuckys.
Yeah.
It really is. And that's, as me and Caleb talked about a while ago, the fish just are, this time of year, they're running after bait. They're running, they're trying to, feed and having to run 2 miles every time they do it. It's just hard. When if they're not locked in on them brush piles right now, it makes it very, very difficult.
Yep, and just in case you're wondering, Bass Champs does have a Mega Bass tournament coming up. I believe it's going to be at Lake Fork,
Correct. Texas.
And Mega Bass is, let's see here, July 19th is the Mega Bass tournament at Lake Fork. It's going out of Lake Fork Marina and Hotel. So right there on beautiful Lake Fork, Texas. So check it out. It's their next big event. Their team championship's not till October. And then they got the Berkeley Big Bass tournament on Lake Fork, October 17th and 18th, the following week after their team championship is on Lake Fork again. So, again, Bass Champs, Chad Potts and their crew, they do a great job. And congratulations to those guys that won this week over there at Sam Rayburn. All right, next. Right now, we're going to tell you guys that are fishing, Toledo Bend, or even Sam Rayburn, because I threw some of these at Sam Rayburn and caught some decent fish. Real quick, we're going to talk about the first thing that, as a matter of fact, Caleb's already said, the wild thing.
Mr. Bob even brought it up as well.
This is the bait right here. I got one tied on, rigged up, 1/2-ounce sinker. There's the big wild thing right there that will, with a 5/0 hook, 1/2-ounce sinker, that will catch you a lot of big fish and could possibly catch you the winning fish. This is one thing you need to have tied on. The next thing that Kevin's gotten me throwing over the last couple of years has been the straight wild on a shaky head, a 3/4-ounce shaky head by V&M that I absolutely love. It's great, especially around the brush. It does a wonderful job. If you're looking for another bait to fish the ledges or brush with, this is it. This is another great bait to have tied on.
Steve, this worm, and the reason I like it so much is everybody has a big worm. Every soft plastic company has a big worm out there, and they all work. This one does not have the regular ribbon tail tight worm that they all have.
Like this
now, the
has.
wild thing, which is probably the most popular big worm on Toledo Bend Sam Rayburn right now, it just has a big old thick tail that gives off more vibration than anything
big
out there.
auger tail. Yeah.
So if you want something completely different from that, the straight wild has no ribbon tail action, has no ribbon tail tail. It just gives a real subtle action, just a little quivering movement. It just gives them something a little different than they're not used to seeing out there when they're getting 500, when them fish are seeing 500 plastic worms thrown at them every day.
Yeah. Now, Kevin, in your opinion, how half ounce weight, should you, is that depending on what depth you're fishing? If you're fishing 18 to 20, would you want to go heavier or would you keep it light?
On the wild thing worm, you've got to be half ounce and bigger because the tail has so much torque to it.
Right.
You've got to be able to get the correct action out of that bait. You need half ounce or bigger. I don't care if you're throwing it in 10 foot of water.
Right.
Now the straight wild's a little different. I still like throwing it on a heavy, on like this 3/4 ounce shaky head, just because I want it on bottom at all times. If I'm fishing a big plastic worm, I want it on bottom.
And here's another bait. Jacob Porosnik is the guy that come up with this one. This is a big J mag, just a big straight tail trick worm type bait. It's absolutely huge.
This bait is huge on Lake Fort right now. Them guys up there are catching them like crazy on Lake Fort.
If you're wanting to tie on a big bass bait, this is it right here. So any one of these baits will catch you some quality fish and will possibly get you a check at the Sealy event.
Yeah, there's no doubt that the big worm, the big plastic worm, will rule the Sealy's Outdoors Big Bass event. It will be the main thing. Most everybody's throwing that with a football jig. Couple big plugs thrown in there. Like I said, we're kind of winding down to the crankbait season, and a frog. I mean, you can take those things. I think one of each of those will be on everybody that fishes Big Bass Splash. It'll be on their front deck.
As far as color, keep it simple. Red bug, blue fleck, plum apple, plum. Keep
black
it
and
simple.
blue.
Black and blue. Keep your color simple this time of year, summer patterns, and you should, like I said, you should have a good opportunity to catch quality fish on Toledo Bend if you're throwing one of these baits.
So we've got one more show before the Sealy's Big Bass Splash. I'm pretty sure.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yeah.
One more show. We'll have another Toledo Bend guide on with another fishing report. So if you're coming over to fish the Big Bass Splash, tune in again next week. We'll have another report, kind of give you one more update of what the fish are doing, what you want to have ready to come to the event. As far as other upcoming events going on, July 4th, this upcoming weekend, the Outlaw Outdoors July 4th tournament. It'll be their last tournament before the fall. Right. All the tournaments kind of starting to dwindle down a little bit. So if you want to get another one in, you got that one that weekend. So you got July 4th, at Sam Rayburn, 10th through 12th to Sealy's at Toledo Bend. I think the next weekend is the Lake Fort Big Bass Champs tournament.
Yeah, the 19th.
Yes,
will be the Lake Fort
there.
Mega Bass for Bass Champs.
And then in August, the ABA is coming back to Rayburn most likely.
Yeah, we don't know yet. The date has not been set for that. It's all depending on this COVID-19 stuff and what parks are going to be open. You know, Texas is kind of going through a resurgence here. Maybe some changes made, but according to Chad Potts, it didn't affect them this past weekend. Everything went off without a hitch. And everybody that I heard went to the weigh-in for Bass Champs said, man, the crowd was minimal. The weigh-in was quick, fast.
Yep.
Anglers stayed out of each other's way and didn't gang up. It was really a well-run tournament and a good job by Chad Potts and the Bass Champs gang over there.
Yep.
So,
I think that kind of nails it down.
yeah. Coming up next, Kevin has our tip of the week, our video tip of the week, so stay tuned for that.
Make sure to check out our guys over at the Boat Shop. You can go like their Facebook page, the Boat Shop in Shreveport, or you can go to their website, the boatshop.com. Make sure I'm getting it right here. Their website, shreveportboatshop.com. Tell Raymond Kidd and them, the guys over at Tackle Talk Live sent you, and they can definitely take care of all the needs you have for your boat.
That's right. Thank you for tuning us in. So again, if you want to continue to catch more fish, continue to watch Tackle Talk Live.
Hey guys, sitting here this morning at the V&M warehouse wanting to talk with you guys about the new wild shad we have coming out. It is a 3.3 inch swim bait that is very versatile. We wanted to be able to take a swim bait and cover several different categories with it. People do a lot of things with swim baits. This is a 3.3 inch, as I said. Cliff and Jacob wanted a swim bait that they could throw for smallmouth up north. They could put on a ball head or however you want to rig it to throw around for the smallmouth up there. I wanted a swim bait that would be the ultimate trailer, swim jig trailer, chatterbait type trailer, you know, anything you can throw and reel. I wanted to make the ultimate trailer for these guys down here in the South that we throw so many vibrating jigs and swim jigs, so on and so forth. And I think we've done that. The wild shad has the perfect body for a trailer. You can see it's pretty thick here and gets slender down, so it stays on the hook. The hook holds the bait very, very well. And as you can see, as I'm just barely shaking the tail here, the movement it has on it. We will be releasing some video footage of the Wild Shad soon, showing the type of action it has as a trailer. Again, at 3.3 inches, it fits perfect on your 3/8 half-ounce bladed jigs, your swim jigs. We've got all the perfect black and blue. I have the green pumpkin watermelon, all the shad type colors you can want. But I highly recommend you guys check out the Wild Shad. It's on the V&M website. It'll soon be on all your major online stores website as well, and several of your local dealers. So make sure check out the Wild Shad. I think it's something you guys throwing out deep, perfect for an A-rig. I don't want to leave that out. This is the perfect A-rig bait. But again, check the Wild Shad out. Here's the packaging. Here's how it looks. I think you guys will definitely be impressed and won't be disappointed for your next swim bait. Thanks.